The Joe Rogan Experience.
When you say he studies magic, what do you mean by that?
So, well, he wrote a great book called High Magic, which is, I think that's what it's called. It's a fantastic book on magic is really the wrong word for it. There's an entire mythos or religion that got sort of wiped out by, Terrence McKenna talks about it a lot. It got kind of wiped out by, superstition. So witchcraft, as we understand it now because of Hollywood, is like, ladies riding around on brooms and shit. But it just used to be midwifery. It used to be like healing women who would like deliver babies and stuff. But these were all connected to, they all had pagan roots. And so essentially you can follow back this branch of data that some people say started in Sumeria or Egypt, ways of meditating, ways of connecting with the universe that are ritualistic in nature, but seem mysterious to us because even though, if you want to see what it looks like, just look at a Catholic Mass. You're looking at a ceremony. It's theurgy, I guess you'd call it. That is a magical ceremony where bread gets converted into the flesh of a god that you eat. So they're all wearing robes, they're burning incense. So that is magic. That's what ceremonial magic looks like. It's non-different from ceremonial magic. Someone in the Catholic Church might tell you, this isn't magic. This is me praying to the infinite and asking for forgiveness. That's magic. You're connecting with a divine intelligence. You're hoping from your connection with the divine intelligence to produce some change in your own psychology, in your own life, and maybe create good fortune or whatever it is you're praying for, healing, whatever it may be. That's magic. So magic is that. And that I'm not saying the Catholicism would necessarily be considered a branch of magic. But I mean, one of the things he said in this interview is if the Bible is one of the most powerful magical grimoires there is. I mean, you read that shit, if you really look in it, there's all kinds of bizarre stuff that doesn't seem to make it onto Christian radio.
Like what?
Well, when in the book of Genesis, it's why do they refer to themselves as a plurality? When God's talking, it's not when they're saying why do we throw Adam and Eve out of the garden? It's we. If we don't do something about this, they will become like us. There's a plurality that's being mentioned there. And so what is that plurality? So throughout the Bible, there's mentions of angels. The book of Ezekiel, the famous one that ufologists go to, there's all these contacts with angels, hyperdimensional beings that have some data set they want to bring to the world. Quite often, depending on what book you're in, it's some terrifying prophecy about the end of the world that's coming. But sometimes it's, some message of hope or some message of healing. So you could say magic is a non-Christian oriented method for connecting with those various entities using ritual. That's one branch of it. Now, I'm not saying, by the way, these beings exist or don't exist, but you could say if you wanted to get psychological, you could say we have buried inside of us archetypes, bits of the collective that are buried deep inside of us, and that there are ways to connect to these little fragments of the collective mind. And, many people have their own method for doing that. One of the methods to do that might be doing a ritual. And for a moment, allowing yourself to imagine that you're trying to talk to an extra-dimensional being. Aleister Crowley famously did one of these rituals and contacted I can't remember what the being was called, but it looks like a gray alien. This is before people were talking about gray aliens. Will you look that up?
Did he draw it?
He drew it. There's a drawing of it, yeah, and it looks like a gray alien.
What year was this?
It's like the 1800s.
Aleister Crowley was in the 1800s?
Yeah, right, 1900s.
Dude, when you keep pulling at your ghillie suit, you remind me of a drunk, overweight girl with large breasts that keeps adjusting her halter top. Like you're in Florida outside drinking at some motel.
Having a great night.
I told that motherfucker, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to leave you, Clarence. I'm tired of your bullshit. I told them with a cigarette in their hand, wow, look at that drawing by Aleister Crowley.
Yeah.
That does look like a gray alien.
Yeah, man. And
That's what we're going to look like, man. Let's cut the shit,
Yeah.
right? That's what we're going to look like. Right? When you see people that are hairy and brutish, we think of them as being like closer to prehistoric man, right?
Yeah.
We see a guy covered in hair. He looks more like a beast.
Yeah.
And when we see people that are thinner and more slender, they become more a gentle version of people. And we associate that oftentimes with intelligence. We directly associate intelligence with frailty, right? We all do that.
Yes.
When you see some super genius guy, usually they're frail.
Right.
And occasionally they're badasses, but there's a lot of those super genius guys that couldn't
Hawking.
fight their way out of a wet paper bag.
Right.
Well, Hawking's the ultimate example because his body literally failed him
Yeah.
while he was coming up with his greatest discoveries.
Yeah.
So this is our future. We're
That's
gonna have
right.
big heads. They're gonna fucking CRISPR your way into a head that lets you live in any dimension you want at any time.
Yeah.
You transport yourself from one planet to the other. Imagine what we've done with our stupid monkey brains. Now imagine it was 150% larger. 150% more brain, and then incorporated all sorts of fucking electronics that let you interface with space-time around you and all kinds of other wacky ways of communicating we couldn't even possibly imagine now, just like people from the 1800s couldn't have ever possibly imagined cell phones.
Right. And this is the idea is like, okay, we're going to go there. And then when we get there, the way we understand space-time is going to be different than the way we understand it now.
Yeah.
So what that means is, theoretically, you could connect or communicate with a being that is outside of space-time, which is a future version of us right now, using like various methods, DMT being one of the big ones on the planet right now, but also using other methods that are a little bit more precise. Because with DMT, it's kind of like you're not really putting in GPS coordinates necessarily. Some people do it with intention, like a shaman will do it like with intention and can like, excuse me, can you give me another Bloody Mary?
I told you, Clarence, I'll fucking leave you. Cigarette in your hand, flip-flops on. I will fucking leave you.
Clarence, if you keep summoning these demons, I am out of here.
Clarence is over there with Miller Lite. You ain't going nowhere. Just stop. Just fucking stop. You always do this. She gets drunk. She says she's leaving. I'ma fucking leave you.
I'm out of here, Clarence.
Clarence, I'm gonna fucking leave you, you son of a bitch.
I'm putting on my ghillie suit and going down to Tampa.
You son of a bitch. I'm gonna visit my family in Clearwater.
I'm out of here, Clarence. It's over. Anyway, yeah, maybe you can connect through time and space to these things that are already here. Like our understanding of time and space, we're locked in, man. But like, so Magick is like ridiculous on one level, as it absolutely sounds and is on one level. On another level is at the very least a creative technique so that you can sort of summon a dream state while you're awake with the intent of causing some change in the world around you using, for a lot of people, what would be considered a non-standard way.
Well, just in terms of your perception of how you view the world, you can alter that pretty radically. I mean, from someone who has an amazingly positive perception versus someone who has an amazingly negative perception, you look at the results.
Right.
Overwhelming benefit of being a positive person. Like
Overwhelming.
There's something to thoughts and ideas that propel you in a good way, and for having a good architecture, for having a good philosophy, having a good operating manual for how you view the world and how you act and behave. Part of that's you getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's what that is. You're like enforcing your ability to sort of dictate the positive aspects of your future. You're deciding to take action. You're strengthening your bond with the way you interface with current reality.
And I was doing it, not ritualistically.
What happened? Why did it stop?
What the fuck? Oh, Christmas. God damn
Listen,
it.
man, if you want to meet me here, I'll meet you here. We could do some 5 a.m. sessions.
I'd love that, man.
Let's do it.
I mean, yeah, I would love that.
Let's do it. I'm 100% down.
Yeah.
Come down here. We'll get pumped. We'll put Slayer on and fucking rock out. Rock.